Missouri's deer season is still open, but I'm already starting to reflect and learn from those lessons and think about the changes I want to make as I prepare for the next deer season. One of the things I always reflect on is stand and blind placement. And I'm amazed at those places we go work when we're helping landowners with habitat and hunting improvement plans. When the trail from the UTV is 6 inches deep in the dirt from going through the same blind every day back and forth, it might be time to change that blind. We like to change our blinds and stand locations based on observations and habitat improvements. Hopefully you're making some changes or improvements to the habitat, and as the habitat changes, deer patterns tend to change. And there may be a bottleneck by a river or a bluff like here that stays the same year after year, and we have those stands in place, and man, they can be great year after year because some pinch point makes it great for the hunter to approach, hunt, and exit without ever alerting the deer. And remember, if deer don't know you're there, it's not hunting pressure. You can hunt the same place for 20 days in a row, and if a deer never knows you're there, they don't know it's ever been hunted. But other places, again, due to hunting pressure or changes in habitat, may need to have a stand or blind moved to it or taken away from it. And that's something you could reflect on where you hunt. Maybe my biggest observation about the deer herd here at the Proving Grounds this year is reflecting on several years in the past. And as you know, we moved to the back part of the original Proving Grounds. We called it Proving Grounds 2. And we started off with a pretty intensive doe harvest for the first couple of years. We were harvesting a lot of does for every buck we harvested. And I started out, knowing we don't need to be quite as aggressive this year. Let's see how we're doing. I started noticing a lot of broken antlered bucks that had broken antlers on our Moultrie mobiles, videos and pictures. Well, you see that in a tuned up herd, but we were seeing more than normal. And we're also seeing a lot of bucks that have non-typical points on one side or the other. That's not common in genetics. It's more common resulting from an injury, and that injury can be in the body somewhere. It also can be to the antler base or the antler pedestal. And when you get a lot of fighting, you get that deer herd, that adult sex ratio too far into male territory. Most people think, I got so many does per bucks. We have more bucks than does. And if you take that too far, the fighting is a little bit too aggressive and all that, sorting out the dominance hierarchy, and you get some injuries, and that can cause a lot of non-typical points. It's just one of many indicators about the status of your deer herd. Paired together, all the many, many broken antlered bucks, from young bucks to bigger bucks, have broken antlers, and the percentage of bucks with non-typical antler formations, I think it's time we work on bringing that balance a little back closer to center. Maybe take a few more bucks and back off the doe harvest. Not stop harvesting does, but cut it down a little bit. And paired to that, we've done a lot of habitat improvement. Matter of fact, right now we got over 100 acres of cedars that have been laid on the ground about a year in drying, in addition to a bunch of TSI or hardwood work we've been doing. We burn that 100 acres out of 900 acres, going to be a huge flush of native vegetation, young, tender, great stuff. So the amount of groceries we're going to have this spring is going to really increase. We've been bringing the deer herd down slightly and adding a lot of food. It's time to back off our doe harvest a bit. Where are you in your doe harvest? Did you meet your goals this year? And most important question, do you have more deer or more food? Find that balance to meet your deer harvest objectives. Big factor of this past season was a wicked drought. We went 50 or 60 some odd days with zero moisture. It broke all the records dating back to 100 and some odd years. There was one record like 102 years ago that was 2 more days. So we were, an all-time record drought here. And that was right during time to plant fall food plots. So some of our food plots we went ahead and planted thinking it was going to rain failed, and then we just held off. And we ended up drilling cereal rye in November. Cereal rye is the most cold hardy of all the common food plot fall forage crops, and certainly the most cold hardy and drought resistant of the cereal grains, wheat, rye, oats. So we drilled that, And we've got great stands now. It's short, 2, 3, 4 inches, depending on the plot, but it's thick. We planted at a heavier rate, planted real late, and it's gonna come on super strong in the spring, I have no doubt. Deer are head down in there every day now, just wearing it out. So you can plant cereal rye extremely late. I would not spend money planting other species that late. They're just not gonna be able to handle the cold stress like cereal rye. That wasn't really a lesson, but it's something we practiced. We knew from past experience it's working out good. And we knew that due to the drought, there were some weeds in some crops. We may or may not have to use herbicide this spring. That cereal rye is looking really thick right now, but I'll make that decision come springtime to see how the crops are. I'm not worried about a few ragweeds, but if there's more weeds, there's so many weeds that can outcompete the forage crop, make a big decrease in the tons of quality forage, then I need to address the weeds. Remember, a lot of weeds just a plant growing somewhere you don't want it, are good deer browse also. So be careful in making that judgment and make wise decisions. And come spring, we get out there in video and show you what we're doing. Hopefully that information can help you make good decisions about your food plot management. Speaking of food plots, y'all know how much I love a hidey-ho food plot. I'm talking small, 30, 40 yard circle, square, whatever, in the timber, about 75 yards away from bedding or so. These need to be strategically located, not just go out there with your chainsaw and make a food plot. And we always make new ones, but of the ones we made this year, one was my favorite. It's right on a ridge top, about 70 yards away from where we cut a bunch of cedars, so there's cover there, native vegetation growing. And we found an area between some great big post oaks. I mean, big old post oaks. You got these big old line of oaks here and big old line of oaks here. I mean, you can make a pretty sizable little plot right in here pretty easy. Yes, sir. Had a bunch of cedars and little scrubby oaks, 5, 6 inch oaks, whatnot. Just went in there with a steel chainsaw and some sweat, boys. Got to do some work to make good habitat, especially in timber country. This isn't like ag country. And cut that stuff, stacked it in the middle, didn't feed the fire too much, because if you get that fire too hot, you're scarred of trees, you're wanting to have that overhanging limbs and cover on. So did it right, didn't use any fertilizer, put the seed blend in there, green cover. It actually caught a little bit on that place and overseeded with rye. And one of the things we've really learned this year, so thankful that we started working with Soil Pro Outdoors, because in that area with the fire and it was just timber covered by leaves, there wasn't a really good microbe base, right? And we all know by now, hopefully you know by now, only way nutrients get into a plant is through living microbes. That's why tilled fields have to have so much fertilizer and everything added to them. We didn't add any fertilizer. Zero, none. No lime, no fertilizer. Done. But we added some microbes from Soil Pro Outdoors, and that field is looking great. And making new hidey-hos and treating all of our plots with the microbes is certainly on the plan for 2025. We've learned not just to make cover, but really define where our bedding areas are. You could cut cedars or, TSI, timber stand improvement, and get a little bit of cover anywhere. Designing that cover for its really high attractiveness to deer and turkey, maybe it's nesting and breeding habitat, and where you locate it, that separates an average hunting location to a great hunting location. We experienced this year. We killed some good mature bucks based on that food cover pattern. I've been doing this a long time and I'm still learning, and getting that design just right is something we really enjoy helping other landowners do, and certainly enjoy the benefits of doing it here at the Proving Grounds.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, PH Outdoors, Moultrie Mobile, Steel, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Soil Pro Outdoors, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
Always enjoy and promote using prescribed fire as a habitat improvement tool. Any month out of the year the conditions are right. Different times of year we'll get a different response. And one of the areas we burned this year was an old, brushy, gnarly, some locust trees, whatever area, between two hidey-ho food plots actually, about a 400 or 500 yard stretch. And the conditions got right in the late summer to have a good hot fire. Smoked that area. And then it just sat there bare because it got wicked dry, as I mentioned earlier. But when it greened up, that fresh vegetation was a major attraction. We saw so many deer using that area. And not just burning to set habitat, but burning to create a fall food plot like we did is a great tool. Think about using burning to create that lush forage at the time of year you're getting ready to hunt. I talked a lot about what we're doing in 2025. I'll add a few more. Man, roads and trails are so important to enjoying any property, whether it's Tracy going out and shed hunting or you're trying to slide into your hunting stand. So we'll be adding more trails. I say roads, ours are trails. That can be as simple as taking our steel equipment out there. We got that big brand new brush saw. I mean, that thing is a beast. You got to check it out. And you're just slowly cutting close to the ground, stay out of rocks. It's amazing what you can do with hand tools. And that's one of my big lessons also. Love getting in that big case tractor, but never forget the tremendous amount of work you can do to a deer property with hand tools. And it lets you have more of a relationship with the land also. You know how to get that high-to food plot if you're the guy cutting a 300-yard trail to get in and out there before daylight and do it quietly. Man, I'm so excited to be implementing all this and share it with y'all throughout this coming year. And I always enjoy hearing your stories. So, in the comments below, share something about a project you did last year and how it turned out, and maybe your goals and objectives for this coming year. But I really hope one of your objectives, just, you got to do it, commit to this year, is having a better relationship with the Creator and applying His will to your life. And we do that by studying His Word daily. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.